gentlemen, welcome back to my channel AS Astrology. Those who do not know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Anmol Sehgal and I am a professional Vedic astrologer and I provide readings and consultations for the same. If you want to book your personal readings with me, you can check out the link below, and under the reading section you can book a personal reading for yourself. Now this video is about the retrograde Venus. Previously I made two videos on retrograde Saturn and retrograde Jupiter. First was about the meaning of retrogression, what actually retrogression means, and the second one was that how this retrogression will affect all the 12 zodiac signs. You can check out those videos on my YouTube channel and it might give some insights towards what is going to happen for next few months. And further, now we will talk about Venus retrograde. See, the basic theme with the retrogression part is just simple. Retrograde planets force you to look back, to reflect back on what you have done. The only difference is that the planet you are being associated with, the planet which is getting retrograde. So first we talked about Jupiter and Saturn being retrograde, so the results were like that. Now we will talk about Venus retrograde. Venus is going retrograde on 13th of May 2020 and it will stay retrograde for 44 days till 25th of June 2020, and it is getting retrograde in the sign of Taurus. So here Venus is having its dignity because it is in its own sign. Venus considers Libra as its Mool Trikona sign and Taurus is it's like its office. So it feels comfortable there. So now to look what results Venus is going to give is to understand the sign of Taurus and to understand what Venus is. Firstly, Venus is, what is Venus? Venus is devotion, Venus is love, Venus is all the luxury items we have with us. Venus, your cars are Venus, your watches are Venus, makeup we use are Venus, perfumes are Venus. Everything which is in under the category of luxury is Venus. Apart from that, on a mundane level, Venus is currency. So Venus going retrograde will have a lot of impact on the currency of the countries. It depends that how the country's horoscope is, and it will reflect that how the currency is going to go. So there are going to be a lot of things related to the currency of the world. Just a moment. Yeah. But what I believe, for India, this Venus retrograde is going to be good because for India, Venus is transiting the first house and Venus is giving 7 points to the first house, to the sign of Taurus. So I believe this time for India is going to be good in terms of Indian currency and whatever prospects Venus is going to have. I think the relationships of India with other countries are going to develop during this time. Further, Venus represents wife for a man, female friends for man and females both. Venus also represents the bed pleasures. Venus is your marriage, Venus is your girlfriends. So now when Venus is getting retrograde, all the qualities related to Venus are going to get reversed. Like for example, Venus is what? Venus is devotion, which Venus is passion, Venus is love. So when you devote yourself to somebody, when you love somebody, what happens? You just accept them with whatever they whatever qualities they have, good or bad, whatever it is. You are just, regardless of anything, you are devoted to them, right? So when Venus becomes retrograde, you are quite calculative and logical with the fact that whom you are connecting with. So during this time when Venus is retrograde, what a person will do, a person will reflect back. First of all, we do not forget what is the theme of retrogression. The theme of retrogression is to reflect back, to reflect to everything which has happened in past. So for this time, what will happen is that people will start retrospecting and reflecting towards the past relationships they have had, one which were in the recent past. So there can be a lot of reconciliations, and there can be a lot of looking back towards the relationships. It can be any relationships. Of course, it is mostly about love relationships, romantic relationships, but it will also involve any relationships where love is involved, brother, sister, your parents, your friends, whatever it is. So it involves every person. When Venus goes retrograde, what people do is people be a little logical and calculative. That is the person, if you are into a relationship, you will think that, is this person correct for me? Is this relationship serving me? Is it worth it? Is it giving something to me? And if you are not into a relationship and you have had a recent breakup, or you are thinking of somebody, then you will be like, should I go back to them? And whatever you have done in your past, you will reconsider and reflect your decisions. Since along with Venus retrograde, we are having Saturn retrograde and Jupiter retrograde. So the way I have concluded this thing is that firstly, when Saturn gets retrograde, a person becomes rebel. Saturn is a natural rebel, okay? And Saturn in the sign of Capricorn and going retrograde will make a person going out of the rules, thinking out of the box. And whereas Jupiter going retrograde will be retrospecting your beliefs and decisions, whatever you used to believe, whatever decisions you have made, thinking about them. And thirdly, Venus is going retrograde, and Venus is all about relationships. So for this time, you will look back into your relationships, that what mistakes have been done, you will go for recorrecting them. Retrograde planets are always about going back and recorrecting things. I have also mentioned this in my previous videos, that retrospection is all about recorrecting things and reconsidering things. Firstly, the main thing that I would like to mention is that this retrogression of planets will affect the people. It will affect all the people on a whole, but it will give major effects on the people who already have retrograde planets in their horoscope. So this was about the theme of retrogression of Venus, and now we will see it with respect of Venus going retrograde in the sign of Taurus. Now, what is the sign of Taurus? Sign of Taurus is a traditional sign. Basically, second house and the sign of Taurus represents our values, what we have inherited from our family, what values do we have. Okay, so the sign of Taurus is related to our value system, what we value, our assets. So it involves our traditions, our values. Secondly, it involves the assets we have, the money we have. Second house is related to investments, and Taurus is also related to investments. Taurus people will only feel comfortable only if they have security in their relationships and in their finances. Okay, and we should always consider the natural element of the sign. Taurus is an earthy sign. It is an earth element, right? So it brings stability. Venus going retrograde in the sign of Taurus will actually reverse the meaning of stability. Things will go haywire for a while. Venus retrograde also brings jealousy, possessiveness. Further, there is fourth aspect of Mars. Since Mars is in the sign of Aquarius, it will have its fourth aspect on the sign of Taurus and on Venus as well. So when Mars has its fourth aspect on Venus, then the relationship becomes a bit troublesome, and the reasons for those trouble are fights due to possessiveness, doubtfulness, jealousy, overprotectiveness, and being over passionate about things. Because see, the fourth aspect of Mars is basically its debilitated aspect, so it is not very welcomed. So there are two more events that we need to look for, and we need to be very cautious about it, which is that Mercury is going to conjunct Venus on 22nd of May. And what Mercury Venus does is that it makes you, Mercury is a very curious planet, okay, and Mercury makes you take decisions, very prompt decisions. So it is advisable to not to take such quick decisions, rather consider the tiniest detail even regarding love and finances. Further, Sun is going to transit in the sign of Taurus. So on exactly 3rd of June, Venus will get combust by the heat of Sun. When Sun and Venus come together, Venus is very close to the degrees of Sun, then it tends to get combust. What will happen is that the qualities of Venus will die out for a while it is in combustion. So prefer not taking major decisions. There is one more thing to focus on, that this Venus retrograde is happening 5th from the conjunction and retrograde of Jupiter and Saturn. So 5th from everything becomes the house of intelligence, the house of, you can call decisions, because 5th house is about your intelligence. How intelligent are you? Your education and romance, love. All these things are seen from the 5th house. So Venus retrograde is happening 5th from Jupiter and Saturn retrograde. So it tells us that the decisions, major decisions, will be about the relationships, the love and romance, the finances, because 5th house is also related to speculation, and it is directly opposite to 11th house, which is the house of gains. So somehow it is also related to gain of love, you can say, or gain from speculations, gain from investments. So all of this is going to have major focus on the relationships, how with what beliefs you were going on with the relationships, and now things are going to change regarding that. Now you are going to change the pattern of thinking, the pattern of loving, you can say. You're going to go back, retrospect how you have dealt with your relationships, and you are going to correct it. So this theme is all about correcting things, correcting your beliefs, correcting your actions, correcting your relationships. So these are all the events and things which we can expect when the Venus is retrograde for 44 days. So now we shall start that how Venus retrograde is going to affect all the 12 zodiac signs. So for the sign of Aries, Venus is going to get retrograde in the 2nd house, being the lord of 7th house as well. So now we'll go by the theme only. The theme of Venus being retrograde in the sign of Taurus. Venus being retrograde in the sign of Taurus will no more stabilize things, right? Will lead to a little chaos and little more thinking, right? So here, 2nd house theme is about your finances, your family, and 7th house theme is about your spouse. So what will happen is there can be disagreements with the spouse and with the family as well. You might have to reconsider a lot of investments you have made. Okay, especially because Venus is related to currency, you might have to look after some of the investments you have made earlier, and you need to take decisions regarding that. And further, second house is also related to what you consume, what you intake. So do look after what you are eating during this time. And secondly, try to save as much as money you can, because second house is about savings and Venus is going retrograde there. So you have to make major decisions and you have to retrospect what decisions you have made with your spending and with your savings earlier. You will have to go back and correct them. Now for the sign of Taurus, this Venus retrograde is going to be in your ascendant, in your first house. So what this means is that there will be effect on your health. You may get slim and then you may get fat. So there will be a back and forth thing with your health. And secondly, since it is in your ascendant, it involves all the areas of your life. So now what will happen is that you will reconsider all the areas of your life and you will go back and correct everything in your life. And since for Taurus people, the sign of Libra lands in the 6th house and the Lord is coming to the 1st house, so it means that you will have to deal with certain conflicts, the conflicts that you have had in past. So now you will have to rethink and reassess those conflicts, and you will have to let go everything once and for all. This is basically a transformation, and this is basically about cutting your slate clean. So you will have to take decisions about your conflicts and decisions about whom you need to keep in your life and whom you need to let go. For the sign of Gemini, this Venus retrograde is going to happen in your 12th house. What is 12th house? 12th house is our subconscious mind. And 12th house is the house of sleep, the house of dreams. So what will happen is Gemini people will tend to have disturbing sleep, firstly, and secondly, they will tend to dream about their past love and the people you have loved before and they are no longer here, means the people who have passed away. And further, Venus retrograde is also activating your 6th house. So any conflicts you have had regarding love matters or any relationship, that you will rethink about it, you will reconsider it, and if you have made some wrong decisions regarding it, or if you have done something wrong, you'll go back and correct it. For Gemini people, this is the best time to get into meditation, because your intuition is going to get very strong, and you might go within yourself and look back into what you have done in your past. There will be a lot of thinking. The Gemini people are going to think the most, since it is affecting your 12th house. So for the sign of Cancer, Venus is going to retrograde in your 11th house. 11th house is the house of gains. It's a house of large organizations. So it is possible that a large organization with which you were associated first and then things didn't go well, then they might reconsider you. There might be a few gains that will come your way. Or it can be a totally opposite thing, that your gains might get blocked. And further, it is possible that if you had some friends in the past, they might come back to you for reconciliation or for just a communication or something. And since this Venus is activating your 5th house, there can be some reconciliation with the past lover, or someone from your past would try to come back. And since 4th house lord is going to the 11th house and it is going retrograde, so this time will be about, I mentioned this in my previous video, that when 4th house is direct, it means your own happiness. And when fourth house goes somewhere else, that means your happiness is related to that house. So for this time, your happiness will be related with the gains. You will be happy about getting some gains. Your concentration will be all about making relations with a large organization or a group of people and being recognized. So for this time, when this is going retrograde, you might do some foolish things, or you might take some foolish decisions just to make them happy. So do look for that and make wise decisions. Don't rush into relationships with friends or something. Just have your mind open, just work with your brain. And since fourth house is also related to properties, fourth house lord going into the 11th house and being retrograde, so if you were expecting some gain of property, that might get delayed. So for the sign of Leo, this Venus retrograde is going to happen in your 10th house. So it is going to activate your 10th house as well as your 4th house, because it is directly opposite to it. So when your 4th house is activated, I would suggest, and the planet is retrograde, especially Venus. Venus is the karka of luxury things, of vehicles. Okay, so I would suggest you not to buy any new vehicle or new luxury product during this time. And secondly, there might be some old projects related to your career that will come back to you, and you will have to redo it. Old projects which were not done by you or which were done by you. If they were done by you, you have to redo it, or if they were not done by you, then you will get a chance to do it. And secondly, there can be some disturbance, and the relationship with the authoritative figures may suffer during this time. That will become haywire. It will not be stable just like it was before. Okay, and further, your third house lord is going into the 10th house. This means that third house is our communication, our skills, and our efforts. So you may have to redo, or you may have to put a lot of effort for your career and for stabilizing your career, stabilizing your relationship with the authorities. It is all about efforts. Now, for the sign of Virgo, Venus retrograde is going to happen in your 9th house. So if you were planning to go abroad, if your Venus is giving good ashtakvarga score to the 9th house, to the sign of Taurus, then only I would recommend you to apply for it. Otherwise, you should hold back till 25th of June, till the time Venus moves direct, and then apply for it, because it might get you into some trouble, or it might bring some documentation problem, or any problem can come. Okay, and further, your third house is also getting activated. Third house is the house of communication, house of efforts, house of skills. So you may have to put an effort into a lot of things related to third house communication, related to your higher education, related to your father, even because 9th house is your father. So you may have to put a lot of effort to stabilize your relationship with your father. And since second lord is going into the 9th house, you would have to also consider where you are investing your money and where you are spending your money. Look after your finances as well. Okay, and look after where you, and especially if you are spending on some luxurious products or luxurious food, do look after that. And I'll suggest you not to do that, and to be a more miser with your money. And it is highly advisable for Virgo people to not indulge into some advices from anybody, because when 9th house lord is getting retrograde, then you may get some wrongful advices which might not be in your favor. So prefer not taking anybody's advice, rather use your own brain. So for the sign of Libra, this Venus retrograde is going to happen in your 8th house. So the 8th house is related to major ups and downs. So there can be ups and downs in regards to your relationships. Okay, and also with your family, because it is directly because second house is directly opposite to 8th house, and it will be activating your second house as well. Second houses are our family, so there can be major ups and downs in Firstly, your relationship with your family and your romantic relationships. Secondly, regarding your finances, because second and eighth house are also related to your finances and your assets. So do look after that. Do not invest into something new, rather retrospect what money you have invested or your previous investments. And further, you may also, since first lord is going into the eighth house, you may also come across certain secrets about past relationships or your finances. For the sign of Scorpio, Scorpio ascendant or Scorpio moon, this transit of Venus retrograde is going to happen in your 7th house. This transit of Venus is going to affect mostly to the sign of Scorpio and Taurus, because it is on the 1st 7th axis, right? So for Scorpio ascendant people, you might get your lovers back. Lost lovers can come back to you for a reconciliation, or there can be a little disturbance. If you are married, there can be a little disturbance with your counterpart. They might act a little oblivion. They might not consider everything. You might feel that they are being a little irresponsible or inconsiderate regarding you. So that can be a problem. Further, it is also activating your 1st house. So Scorpio people will become quite creative during this time. Since Venus is giving its direct aspect, you may even feel that you have a lack of support from your counterpart. So give them a little space, let this time pass, and then talk to them. Reconsider. And this time will also be about retrospecting and reconsidering your past relationships, and you might go back to correct the things you have done in relationships in your past. And also look after your health. I will suggest you to take proper diet and proper exercise. So for the sign of Sagittarius, moon and ascendant, this Venus retrograde is going to happen in your 6th house. Now 6th house is related to debts. Debts can be your product karma. It is related to your product karma. Debts can be past life debts also, not just monetary debts but also karmic debts. So you might have to deal with that. Or if you had some lingered on loans which you had in the past, or there was some debts in the past, they might come back again. Okay, and one more thing, just as same as the Gemini one, you might also dream about people you love, your past love, or the person who, or the people who have passed away from this world. So there can be disturbance with your sleep, but your intuitive mind will be very much in tuned, and this is the time for going within, for being a little more spiritual. And 6th house is also related to healing. So you might have to heal some past relationship. You might have to let go a lot of things related to your past, a lot of resentments you had earlier. So you'll have to let it go. And it's actually better to let go things which no longer serves you, or if people are ready to change, and people, because we are human, okay, we are human, everybody make mistakes, right? It takes a heavy heart to forgive, but it is for your own peace. So you have to let go, and you should let go things. Further, 11th house lord is going to the 6th house. 11th house is actually the Bhavat Bhavam of 6th house. It is the higher self of 6th house. Its lord is going into 6th house, which means there can be possibility, if you had some conflicts related to large organizations, you may have to reconsider, and you may have to deal with that again. And secondly, if you had friends with whom you did not settle well, there were some conflicts with them and you guys are not in contact, they might also come back to you to resolve the conflict which was earlier there. So for the sign of Capricorn, Venus retrograde is going to happen in your 5th house. Definitely this time you'll be very creative. You will think you will reconsider your old creative projects. Since 10th lord is going into the 5th house, you might deal with your any creative projects you had earlier. You might deal with that, and your past lovers will come back to you. Okay, and even you might consider some friendships, some old friendships. Since it is activating your 11th house, you might have to reconsider things related to 11th house, like gains, recognition, and large organizations. Some tasks related to your career, you might have to reconsider that. So for the sign of Aquarius, this Venus retrograde is going to happen in your 4th house. So 4th house is related to your home. So you might consider redecorating your home for this while. And again, 4th house is when 4th house is about about your own happiness. Okay, and when 4th house lord becomes retrograde, it forces you to make other people happy. So there will be situations where you have to think about other people first, then you. Okay, so the priority will be the happiness of others, and there will be a back and forth relationship within that. And it is also activating your 10th house, so there can be some creative projects you will be dealing with related to your career. And further, 9th house lord is coming to your 4th house and getting retrograde. So do watch out for the advices you are getting. I would suggest you not to take any decisions regarding your love life, especially on the basis of advices of others. Rather use your own brain. And secondly, if you are planning on getting some new vehicle, don't buy a new vehicle before 25th of June. Because Venus is the karka of luxury things, and Venus is also the karka of cars. So it is going retrograde. It is not a good time to buy vehicles. Wait for a while and then you can pursue buying it. So for the sign of Pisces, ascendant or moon, Venus retrograde is happening in your 3rd house. 3rd house is the house of communication, social media, and it is the house of your skills, efforts as well. So you may have to deal with the situations where you have to remake efforts. You have to reconsider making efforts towards some communication, towards some relationship, or towards some creativity for stabilizing your communication. And especially, this is not a very good time to go on social media with some influential thing. If you are having something in your mind, if you are having to start if you are having in your mind that you need to start business or something which is related to social media, that I would suggest that wait till 25th of June, let Venus be direct, and then start your creative projects if there are any. Okay, and further, it is also activating your 9th house. So look after the advices you will be getting. They might not turn out to be favorable for you, so use your own brains for that. Oh, you just have one brain, so it should be singular, sorry. And further, 8th house lord is going to the 3rd house. So if you are married and you have your in-laws, you might have to do something again to make them happy, or you have to make a lot of efforts related to for communicating with them and for stabilizing your relationship with them. So these 3 areas are really important and will be of concern for this 1 month for you. 44 days actually. I don't know why I'm making so much mistakes in the Pisces analysis. Maybe because of Venus retrograde. Oh my god, Venus retrograde in 3rd house also makes you repeat your communication, because you tend to say some things which are not correct, or automatically some things like some spelling mistake or some pronunciation mistake comes when 3rd house lord is retrograded. So you have to recommunicate or you have to speak that again. So I think that is affecting me right now. So yes guys, this was my analysis about Venus retrograde for the month of May and June. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. And yes, see you with another video. Bye bye.